Welcome everyone. I am Juma, and this is Leafstyle, where education, culture, and cannabis collides. This season, happy to welcome our co-host, Dr. Sophia Lynn. Today, we're having special guests. Really don't need much of an introduction. A person who's always been at the forefront of this cannabis movement, the rapper, actor,
MC,
producer.
MC,
I'm sorry, let me correct it.
MC.
MC,
That's
producer,
right.
actor, cannabis activist, the proponent of the funk, Mr. Reggie Noble, aka
Beep, beep, beep,
Funk Doctor
beep.
Spock,
Beep, 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 beep,
Mr.
beep.
Redman. Thank you for joining us here today. We really appreciate it. And also, as a special guest, co-founder of the National Cannabis Party, the NCP, a canna-mom, a tech entrepreneur, and an all-around
Thank
badass,
you. And it's
Sephida
Mills.
Artis-Mills.
Beep, beep, beep,
Yes,
beep, 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 beep.
Oh,
not a
Mills.
problem.
Oh my gosh. I
Yes.
apologize. Let me
Thank
do
you,
that
Juma.
again. Sephida Artis-Mills. My apologies. You're welcome. Dr. Sophia Lynn, please join in.
Welcome. Thank you both for joining both of us today. Really appreciate it. Important topic, important conversation, and we want to jump right into it and not waste any time at all. So our topic today is going to be about the National Cannabis Party that you both co-founded and also politics and cannabis. Let's get right into it, Red. So tell me, when did your relationship with cannabis start?
My relationship with cannabis started when I was 12 years old, and I experienced it with maybe 13. I experienced it with my uncles in Alabama, and we were hunting rabbit, and I had my rifle. I was ready to, I was on point because I've done it before. I hunted with them before, and for some reason, whatever they were smoking smelled so good. I was like, ooh, because it wasn't the cigarettes I was used to smelling from my dad or whatever,
Right.
or even when they would smoke. And I was just like, what is that? And they just let me hit it. And after that, it was history. I haven't stopped smoking since then.
I love that. I love that. The only way and the best way and the safest way to introduce this medicine
Absolutely.
is through family,
Absolutely.
with someone that you trust in an environment that is safe. So absolutely, the first time that anyone tries should absolutely be with family and someone that you trust. I love that.
That's right.
And then from there, you developed into bringing this into your music, bringing this awareness to the culture.
Right.
That transition over time and over life was just from a personal belief in the product?
Good question. Yes, because all right, for far as the rap game, the hip hop game, me, Meth, Be Real, and Snoop are considered the
Right.
forefathers of this cannabis plant.
Right.
Did we know it would be at this level? No. I can honestly say for me that after I seen, well, even before then, I was heavy on this plant, on how it made me feel, and I wanted to relay that message to the fans. Like, this is how the plant makes me feel creative.
Right.
It makes me feel relaxed. It makes me feel fun. I had a choice to either talk about my my even though I did slightly talk about my what's the word I'm looking for, the the uh what I've overcome as far as in the hood, and what I've
Hmm.
established in my life getting out the hood. Everyone has their story, but my
Right.
story, I didn't want to be in the same light as everyone else telling that same story. Okay, I got out the hood, I made records and this and that. I wanted to kind of implement that a little bit, but the main story about my career was the cannabis plant and how it makes me feel, how it connects people, just so many ways that the plant has helped me. And after I seen that the word I was looking for was adversity. So sorry about that. The word I was looking
No,
for was
definitely.
adversity. So I want to just talk about all the adversities that I've overcame. Um, what did it for me was seeing Cypress Hill, the first hip hop group on High Times magazine, and
Yes.
I didn't feel alone when I seen that. And plus, their weed from the West Coast was way better than ours. Way
Right.
better. Like I was looking at it on the cover, I was like, what the fuck is that green shit? Because New York had like sort of like a
Dry.
green, but it was mostly brown because we
Brown
smoked a lot of
and dry.
chocolate and different
Yep.
varieties of weed. But their weed was straight green, bright green, like kryptonite. And they was
Fresh.
on the cover, and I said, you know what? They encouraged me to even take it further. So I got to thank Cypress Hill. I got to thank High Times. And, I just knew that this was the place and the space I wanted to be in ever since
Wow,
1991.
wow.
That's cross-cultural. So you're really connecting all the genres in hip hop at that time, and you're really speaking to some of the post-traumatic stress that you endured in your childhood and growing up in the hood, and things that you saw that were underdiagnosed for you at that time, and how your cannabis helped to be an escape to unlock your creativity. So I love how you tie all of that together. Sephida,
Did I know that when I was younger, growing up with it, like learning about it? No, I was still like only like 20, 21. And did I
right?
know it was like what I've learned now about it, like
Yeah.
taking a class at Oxford University, and I'm an alumni now. Did I know that it was doing that back in the 90s? No, I didn't. I just knew that I was ready to be on the front line for this plant.
Right, right. And
That was it.
something you mentioned there is interesting that I'm just curious about is obviously it spoke to you at an early age, but you connected with two things that have gone through the roof since 1990, and that's hip hop and that's cannabis. And to connect your career and your lifestyle around those two things, do you just feel lucky, or do you feel that that's just what's called you?
Um, as I look at it, now that I got a better understanding of myself and more aware of myself, it was my calling. It was my calling to be a part of this plant that now, and even back then, helps people in so many ways, whether it's physical, mental, health wise. I was part of something that was being discovered back then for helping people. So, yes, yes,
Yes, yes.
absolutely.
And Sephida,
So that was 1992, right? 1992, Red? That you were on the cover?
Well, that was when I first, that was like what the High Times cover with Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
I think it was like 92 or 91. Yes.
I think we need a 30-year anniversary, Juma. I feel like there's something coming up that we can help celebrate for this
And I was
issue,
the
because that was
second, and I
monumental.
was the second artist on their
really?
on their cover. The second
Wow,
artist on their
wow.
cover. Yes, I was the
Yep.
second artist
I
on their
remember
cover
that Cypress
on High
Hill. I
Times.
remember the
Yes, ma'am.
Cypress Hill
Yes, sir.
because when I first heard the song,
Yeah.
no one knew where they were from. I didn't know they were from Cali. I didn't, and I remember that. And you were the second
Uh-huh.
artist on High Times?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. The second like rap artist on High Times
Yep.
30
with the
year,
cannabis
30
plant.
years.
We need to celebrate that 30-year anniversary next year. Definitely.
Mountain
Yep,
Cushmore.
Mount Cushmore,
Sephida, same
yeah.
absolutely.
question. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, Mount
All
Cushmore
right.
all day.
Snoop, Cypress Hill. I mean, Be Real, Snoop, Method Man, and you, Redman, Mount Cushmore. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sephida, same
We all did a song
question.
together too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all did a song together too. Snoop put it together. It was
Oh, we
called Mount
know. We
Cushmore.
know.
Oh, okay.
We all know. Tell me, Miss Sephida. So, with the National Cannabis Party and all the work that you're doing with technology, your personal experience with your daughter, and your advocacy work, when did you first fall in love with cannabis? What is your journey into cannabis?
So my journey has always been it my family for one. I've had,
Yeah.
several different people in my family, the kind of similar story to Redman, that definitely smoked a lot. So I was around it a lot from a young age. Even just seeing the creativity piece, I'm heavily into
Right.
music, songwriting, and things like that. And that always brought out more of my creativity. I've always been very poetic when it comes to writing words and, stories, and just all of those things will come together for me very easily. It's like breathing for me. So, and also understanding how cannabis was helping people. I was around people that were a lot older than me that would have different conditions and, arthritis and, different types of autoimmune diseases where cannabis was helping them. So people, didn't often talk about that side of it. You just saw people smoking, just, and they're like, oh, people just
Right.
want to get high, not understanding that there was a reason why a lot of people did go to the plant. It wasn't just about being high. Sometimes people had that was a way for you to deal with depression, deal with anxiety, a lot of things that the cannabis plant is very instrumental and helping with. So it just made me want to study more and research more, understanding more. Even at a young age, I was very inquisitive. So I would ask questions. They're like, you ain't got no business asking about that. So, so it's like, and here I am like, well, either you're going to tell me or I'm just going to keep asking, or I'm going to go ask someone else. And they're like, okay, fine. So for me, it came at the perfect time to get exposed to it at a young age and be around people who smoke, and even hearing their stories and seeing them be creative, hip hop ciphers, people freestyling. I've been around that
Right.
like my whole life. So that's why hip hop is like a huge influence for me. And so it transitioned into me learning more about how the plant is going to help me, and then eventually ended up transitioning into how I would use the plant to help my daughter with the situation that was completely unexpected for me.
Tell us a little more about her congenital heart condition and how you decided to choose medical marijuana as her treatment option.
So, my daughter, I found out about her heart when I was 7 months pregnant. So, I was told that on a scale of 1 to 10, that my daughter's condition was about a 9. She was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which is one of the more severe congenital heart diseases, and is very it's very complicated. It's very complex in the regard where there always has to be surgical intervention. And the palliative process requires 3 different open heart surgeries before my daughter would turn 4 years old. So they told me, in addition to her having HLHS, that she also had something called mitral valve atresia. So she had a hole in her heart, and that was causing other complications to the point where when she was born, 3 days later, she had open heart
Yeah.
surgery as a newborn. And I didn't even imagine that they could operate on a child so young,
Totally.
and at that do reconstructive heart surgery, which that particular procedure is called a Norwood Sano. So they said, she's going to have a challenging recovery. I watched my daughter on every type of medication, different types of opioids, just different medications to kind of keep her sedated because she was so young and very fragile at the same time for a child to be
Right.
that young and experience that kind of surgery. So, her getting through that part of it, you think, okay, let's prepare for the next stage. In the second stage surgery at 5 months old, they discovered she was in early heart failure. And they said that it would be better to list her for a heart transplant opposed to doing the surgery, because they said if we do the surgery and we stop her heart, we're afraid that we won't be able to get it to beat again because it was already struggling to keep up. So she was listed September 11th of 2018, and 13 days later, she clinically died several times, and they were preparing to put her on life support. And I had to sign consent papers for them to put her on the ECMO machine. And then the call
Yeah.
came from the transplant team that they had a heart for my daughter. So on September 25th, 2018, we just celebrated on the 25th her 3 year heart
Yeah.
anniversary. And she's, thank you, she's doing amazing. And cannabis
I
was
love
part
that.
of the journey because that recovery process is very taxing on
Yeah.
anyone's body, let alone a 5 month old. So she had to learn how to sit up again. She had to learn basic things that she was doing before she went into that surgery. She had to learn all over again. And just knowing that I didn't want my daughter to be on all of these different medications that would have
Right.
so many different side effects. She was on about 7 or 8 when she first uh, came out of the heart transplant surgery, and it was hard on her body. We were dealing with so many different side effects at one time, and I was just like asking the doctors, like, is this what I have to look forward to? Because it was hard watching her already go through so much and then have to I'm sorry, and then just have to
Take your
deal with that
time.
for the rest of their life. And
Of course.
so for
Yeah.
me, seeing how cannabis helps my daughter, it makes me fight even harder for pediatric access to be a topic of discussion, because there needs to be access for pediatric patients. She eats way better than most children who have cardiac conditions, because eating is something that's really challenging to get them to do. A lot of the time, a lot of the children don't have appetites. She's growing and developing like so well, to the point where she's way ahead of where she was expected to be developmentally. She is very smart, she's very energetic, very active, and the CBD is what I started with, and saw how that helped with her appetite, even helped with her moods and her being calm and relaxed, because children develop anxiety from
Yeah.
going to being in the hospital so much, and as they get older and understand, now they see doctors and they're afraid, or they don't want them to touch them, and then they're holding on to you for dear life, because they're like, I don't know what's about to happen, I don't know if I'm going to be separated from my mom, because they spend a lot of nights in
Right.
those hospitals, you know by themselves. Even though I was there every day, I would still have to go and sleep at some time. So
Yeah.
I'd be right back there the next morning. But even that separation of having nurses and doctors that they're seeing and not me, that can develop an anxiety in a child. So seeing how it helped her there, and then moving into CBD and CBG, which is what she's taking now, I'm just seeing a world of a difference. And she still takes her transplant medications, but she's
Wow.
only down to one now. And there's a
Good.
lot of kids that can't say that. And the fact that she only has to take one, and this is even helping alleviate some of the side effects that she's had since she's been taking CBD and CBG, is just nothing short of amazing. So it just helps me to give that information so that other children can be helped, and they can start to study different cannabinoids that can help children that have conditions like hers.
Thank you for sharing. So you're talking about microcannabinoids when you talk about the CBD and the CBG proponents of the plant. How did you get into that? Because that information is not widespread. And what state were you in when you were doing this process? And how did you feel supported by her medical advisors and pediatricians?
So I'm in Virginia, and this is, at the time, Virginia had was early on in the medical program. They didn't pass
Yeah.
adult use until July 1st of this year. But I had already been doing my research. I had found research that showed at one university that they were doing studies in how cannabis could help with, or those organ transplant patients, that help reduce the risk of organ rejection. And I found that very interesting and wanted to delve further into that, because I said there has to be a way to get to a point where they don't have to take those medications. I mean, I've researched stem cell and
Yeah,
all of the
specifically
different things.
steroids. Yeah,
Right.
you want to
So
reduce the amount of steroids and immunoglobulins that she has to take to help to have the body not reject the heart.
right, because the just that alone, it makes them more susceptible to infections. And if they are
Yeah.
getting infections, or they're exposed to certain type of illness, or even any other type of disease, their body is not going to fight it off effectively the way, you or I or any one of us would. So just knowing what I wanted to do, and also knowing that this was going to be a new journey, and that I was doing something that some people were probably really afraid to do or didn't want to take a chance at doing. But I felt this
Right.
is something that's natural. This is a natural alternative. This is holistic medicine that deserves a chance for people to be exposed to the results and the capabilities of what it can do. So for me, I said, in spite of what people feel and think about this, I've done
Yeah.
enough research. I use it myself. So I'm going to start her off, very small and then gradually go from there. And then I connected with a company in California that formulates that CBD and CBG tincture just for her and literally send it
Wow.
whenever she needs it. So just kind of connecting with different people that become part of your tribe, it helps. And her doctors are kind of familiar as far as the industry that I'm in because I have talked about it, but they don't really ask me many questions. And I kind of keep it that way until there's a better understanding and try to find ways to where I can bridge that gap because there are hospitals that are starting
Right.
to research and open themselves up for those types of programs. So I'm hoping that if that is ever a topic of conversation, I do have a really close relationship with her medical team to where I can be the one to introduce that to them and connect them with other experts, even such as yourself, that can
I
be
love
able to
that.
walk them through that process and help them build out what a program like that would look like and how they'd
I
be able
love
to
that.
offer it to
Right.
patients.
Well,
So
I just want to, we got to give it up and just salute you and give it up to the mother's love, a mother's determination, because that's unbelievable. Just the way you educated yourself and literally sounds like saved your daughter's life in many ways, right? Doing something that may be frowned upon by some within even the medical industry and taking it upon yourself to nurture your daughter
Yeah.
to a healthy life. I salute you. That's just amazing, an incredible story. Speaking of that, though, I want to
Thank
piggyback on
you.
that a little bit. Is we're all big about building community and connecting the community. Have you found that there's a community out there with similar moms and fathers that now are looking to different ways to maybe medicate their children? And that's a really not a lot of research there. Is there a community out there for you that you've connected with?
there are some, but I'm still working on building out that community. A lot of them are trying to find their way to each other. I will say that. And I even read a story recently, probably several months ago, where there's a mom that had started to treat her child with CBD because they were battling a rare form of cancer. And what happened is by the time she started to give them the CBD, it was working, but the problem was the cancer was very aggressive. So even when they would experience results, it had already spread. And when they would go back and do tests, there were certain things that would come back and they said, this doesn't make any sense. Where we saw cancer before, we don't see it there anymore. But then when it would come back more aggressive. So because there was no understanding of how the CBD could be used within the treatment, of course, there was nothing that was available for them to further explore that, or even that she may have been comfortable enough to explain to them, well, this is what I started doing, and this is why you see the changes. And unfortunately, that child passed away. So imagine if there was something that could have been done prior to the cancer becoming that aggressive, because there's so many different types and forms of cancer and they all behave in different ways, especially depending on the individual that's dealing with it. So there needs to be more research to understand so that there can be different forms of alternative treatments, because the chemotherapy, is very, very hard on the body when a person is going through it. And then you see some families feel, well, it was the treatment actually that was harder on them and that they felt took their loved one, because they would just slowly watch them deteriorate. And
Right.
that's a hard thing to watch. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And it makes it, I don't blame people for saying, I don't want to go that route, because I saw someone else suffer and I don't want to suffer in that way. I want to at least be able to have somewhat of a good quality of life while I'm going through this and not feel sick all the time as I'm going
Right.
through treatment. So,
I have
that's
the
something that
privilege.
I'd
Right.
love to be able to do.
I have the privilege of taking care of many terminal end of life patients. And in that time, many choose not to do aggressive therapy with chemo or radiation because they just can't withstand or tolerate the side effects. So I was really happy to see that California just legalized in their position that terminal end of life patients and hospice patients who are medical marijuana patients are allowed to use their product in hospice and in hospital. So it's making
I saw
progress. It's
that.
making progress, but
Right.
not fast enough.
Yes, absolutely.
Redman.
Right. I agree.
Redman. What up?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Question. All right. Question. We Google, I don't see you attached to any strains out here, no cannabis products. And then we see this National Cannabis Party. So no strains, no product, but an actual official political party. Talk to us a little bit about the reasoning and the background around that. So many people are jumped out into the marketplace, this strand, that strand. You seem to have not played that role, and you're one of the Mount Cushmore.
Right. I don't know. It was like at the time that we was getting offers, like believe me, like me and Meth, we could have made a shit ton of money. And but I know, speaking on my behalf, I wanted to hold my brand out for the bigger picture. I always been different, like far as the rap game and far as the industry. I always like kind of secluded my brand from the BS, I would say. And that's this, the standard that's the standard way of saying just not being a part of the Joneses, not following the crowd, not following the trend. I always wanted to create my own trend. And I noticed that a lot of artists were getting grows. A lot of growers was coming to me about a grow. The vape pen industry, yeah, we just want to do a vape pen on you. And it was just so many products. And, I'm not going to lie. Snoop Dogg really helped me in that, into way of thinking that that's not the route I want to go, because he had his name on everything. Like you couldn't pick up a pen or a vape pen or a grow or anything that didn't have Snoop name on it. Now, in a way, it worked because he made money, but then again, it hoarded out the name a lot. And it was a lesson learned for me to learn from that. Like, wow, I don't want my name hoarded out. I didn't want to just be a part of the Joneses with, okay, Redman got his vape pen and Redman got his grow and he got a strand and he da-da-da. I always told myself I wanted to be a part of the responsibility of medicating. And that's why I took the class at Amsterdam University, because I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn more about this plant, not just to go there to learn to grow and, not just to be, just to have something under my belt that dealt with marijuana. I'm a licensed patient consultant going to Amsterdam University. So I feel good about that. I met Damon maybe 8 years back, and he saw an interview, Damon, which is Sephida Pops. What's up, big bro? And he loved my interview, what I did on TMZ. And TMZ was asking me questions about, I forgot his name. One of the guys, he's famous, bought a lot of farms in Ohio. And they was like, well, Redman, this guy bought a lot of farms in Ohio. What's your next move? How are you tapping into the industry to get this money? And I clearly told him, like, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to help people. I'm in it to, possibly, be behind the responsibility of this marijuana plant, making sure people medicate the right way, making sure, babies get it, children get it, hospitals get it, making sure that the whole world understand that this plant is not just for recreational use. And Damon picked up on that immediately, and he wanted me to work with him. And that's been our mission ever since, was like actually being a part of the responsibility of this marijuana plant. And believe me, we done went through, trials and tribulations of trying things here, dealing with different people. And when NCP came about, it was like, wow, we hit the nail on the head with this one. Not only can we, help gather people, because I'm a people's person. I get a thrill out of helping people, just like Sephida do. I get a thrill out of seeing a person smile from help that we gave them, or anything that I might have said to them. They're smiling. I'm in the job of helping people. And this NCP platform that we have right now is in that space to do that for the people and the plant. We are for the people for this plant. And I thank God, because I owe it all to God. I owe it all to Holy Spirit. They guided me and said, you know what, be patient, because you know why? It was times where I was ready to say, damn it, all these artists is getting this money. Like I could be $1 million up right now. And Holy Spirit just told me, listen, stay put. I have something bigger than that for you. So I just really just stood my ground. At the end of the day, I stood my ground. Like I tell people back in the day, even with us artists, like me, Be Real, Meth, and Snoop, and other artists too as well. But I know far as us, because we was heavily recognized for this plant in the 90s, for putting it on the front line. I tell people, like, it wasn't just about us saying we smoke marijuana. And like I said, did we know it would be at this level? No, we didn't. But then again, y'all have to understand that we missed a lot of I said opportunities with different companies.
Right.
Like if Coca-Cola wanted us to do a commercial in the 90s, which some of them did, but they wouldn't mess with us because of what we believed in. There was a lot of companies that want to endorse us because they love. Who wouldn't love Snoop? Who wouldn't love Red and Meth as far as promoting their product? But a lot of companies in the 90s did not understand this marijuana plant, and they did not mess with us. A lot of them too. And we didn't compromise. We didn't say, you know what? All right, we're gonna put this plant to the side for a minute and we're gonna go get this money. We stuck to our grounds, and we said, you know what? Nothing's important than getting this message out.
Big congrats there.
This
Big
is what we have today, NCP,
In a
National
nutshell,
Cannabis Party.
what is the mission of National Cannabis Party?
President. And the next, well, in my sense, because I'm Sephida is going to definitely elaborate more. In my sense of this party is bringing the power to the people for this plant. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. We want to do everything from top to bottom. We want a clean house. We want to make sure everyone of every culture has a fair chance.
It was. That was a freestyle?
Oh,
that was a freestyle?
Oh, it was.
That was a good answer.
Profound.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. Yeah, of course. It wasn't nothing written down. I don't got nothing written in the car. Yeah. So. But it's I'm like I said, I'm very transparent. And I'm in transformation with myself. So I only speak what I feel. And I know just, working with my sis, Sephida, she's just a amazing president to work with. And how she is for the people, I recognize that because I am for the people. I was always considered a blue-collar artist. I was just for the people all the time in my music. Now I get to implement it in this marijuana industry with my sister Sephida.
So the mission of National Cannabis Party definitely aligns with everything that Red just said. We are for the people, and that's not up for negotiation ever. I think people need to be empowered. I think that people are in a position to where they want to fight. They want to influence policy. They want to be involved in how the legislation is shaped in their respective state, and even once it becomes federally legal. But giving them the tools and the education and the resources in order to do that is something that National Cannabis Party is here to do. There needs to be accountability in the industry and with people who are in positions of power, because the people put them there. You vote for these different politicians, you put them in office, but then when things are not done in the manner in which they say that they would, how they say they're going to transform communities, how they say they're going to work collectively with the community to make change, and it doesn't happen, who's holding them accountable? So for National Cannabis Party, we want to support those who genuinely support cannabis, not those who just say they do, because there's a lot popping up all over the place saying, I'm in support of cannabis, legalize it, free the plant. And it's like, where was all of this energy before it started becoming legal, before it was something that you could talk about openly in conversation? So I feel that now that it's on front display, it needs to be done the right way. The people have built the culture around cannabis. So how can you not include them, especially communities that are disproportionately affected by prohibition and the war on drugs? It's not fair to make billions of dollars off of an industry, yet you still have people in prison and you still have people who are suffering just behind what they're trying to do to help support their families, to help heal themselves, and to have better health, because there's so many disparities just even in the healthcare system alone, and all of it comes full circle. And I feel cannabis is that great unifier that's going to rectify these things and to help mitigate a lot of the damage that has happened. The only way to really address that is to be able to empower the people to help push the movement and make sure that it is equitable for everybody, and not just those who have a lot of money or a lot of influence and power in the space. The power belongs to the people the same way that the plant does. So in order to get it to where it needs to be, and make sure that these laws are formulated to help the people, to help the communities in which they say, okay, we're going to take tax revenue and we're going to allocate it to social equity, but you haven't defined what social equity is or what it looks like. Or to say that we're going to reinvest in communities. Have you sat down with the community to determine where that reinvestment needs to go? That has not happened. So you cannot speak for the people without speaking to them and addressing what the issues really are, to really come up with real solutions. And that's what National Cannabis Party is here to make sure that that happens, and to gather the people together and galvanize them to push those issues to the forefront with these solutions, and make sure that
I love
they're
that,
a part
Sephida.
of that
Let's
conversation.
repeat that. The power belongs to the people just as the plant does. That's an impactful one, definitely. Website is www.nationalcannabisparty.org. Tell us what you need. Tell the audience what you need in order for people to get involved, in order for people to be present, and to promote the message nationwide and worldwide.
Absolutely. So when they go to the website, which you just stated, they would be able to put in their information, and they can even include how they want to be involved. That we do see the messages, we do see when people place the areas in which they have interest, or even if they're patients. We need everyone. There is not one person that comes to join NCP where we say, well, we only are looking for one particular group. We need every single person that supports this plant and this industry. There are over 100 million registered voters who are in support of cannabis. And that's a lot of people, and that's a lot of power if all of these people organize. So imagine if everyone was to get together and really push this movement forward, and make them not only respect this industry, but make them respect you and the power that you hold to put people in positions that they're in. So I feel that we need a lot of people that are going to not only be in positions of leadership, but even when it comes to community initiatives and efforts that we're rolling out, including things like expungement clinics and career fairs, and just some of the different opportunities that are out there for us to really do something in the community. There are those that are out there already doing it, like, 40 Tons brand. They did a huge win in California, the Can I Get a Second Chance? Those are people that we're actually talking to and talking about coming together to make it a widespread events that can happen across the country when it comes to expungement, because there needs to be real change when it comes to the prison reform and social justice and people needing an opportunity when they get out of prison, or that are already out of prison and don't have the opportunity to participate in this industry or consume it. So I think that if people are interested, they definitely would go to the website. They can go to at National Cannabis Party Instagram page. We are also on Twitter as official National Cannabis Party. We also have Redman here, who, if people are trying to tap in different ways or even keep up with updates and what we're doing, he shares it on his social media as well. And you can also look up the hashtag for NCP to see different things, different events that we're doing, and how we want to hear your cannabis stories. We want to hear people share and what is their why to being involved in this industry, and how can we assist you in this movement to help you in your respective state or city or wherever
Love
your
it.
community is. We
Give us
want to
2
bring
dates
those
for the next 2
resources to
events
you.
coming up. And are you guys participating in MJ Biz coming up in Vegas later this month? I thought so.
Yes, we are doing MJ BizCon, and there's going to
Good.
be an announcement really soon of Redman. There's going to be a meet and greet. So we're partnered up with the Emerge. They have a platform where they do a cannabis conference during it's virtually, and it's really cool the technology that they use. We were actually at the Emerge Summer Conference where we were on the panel speaking about National Cannabis Party, and we teamed up with them at MJ BizCon, and we're going to be attending some of the different events that are going to be happening
Great,
surrounding the
great.
expo as well. So
Safida, as
definitely
president
check
of the
us out there.
NCP, what would be your commentary on the current administration and their approach to cannabis and legalization?
My opinion of that, I don't I don't I will say I don't have high hopes as to it getting done with this administration. I'm hoping that it does, but there has not really been any movement or progress that I've seen from the current administration. I know that it just came out recently that it passed for federal legalization in the House, so now it has to go to the Senate, and that's still, it's like you can't help but think, is it gonna make it? And at the same time, it kind of makes me concerned about, are we really ready for federal legalization, being that it has not really been structured completely in all of the states that are legal. There's still a lot of things that are going on individually in the states. So do we really want the federal government to have to come in and control the entire market, being that there's still things that have to be done in the states to make sure that the industry is equitable, that there are fair laws and policies in place. I mean, think about the licensing process. That has been a big mess in a lot of different states, and there's still no clear understanding of how they're going to continue that process, from micro licensing, social equity applicants, and those programs. So there's a lot of different things that need to be tightened up before federal legalization happens, because that's going to open the doors wide open for those big industries to come in and be able to control the market, because they have the money, they have the resources.
Right.
So what is that going to do for the smaller growers and farmers and cultivators in this space, in the small businesses that don't have the resources that they have to be able to compete? So we want to really build an infrastructure that's going to empower these smaller entities to be able to compete, even if you decide to create a co-op model to where everyone can benefit. I think there's a lot of opportunity to decide what that looks like and how we can structure it to where everybody can equally get a share in the industry, because it's just going to end up being like anything else, where there's one particular group that controls everything because of the money and the influence that they have. So I think we still have some time to really get some things in order before federal legalization. But if it does happen, to still be ready to jump in there and create some things to where these people are not pushed out, because there's a lot of people that have helped to build this industry and the culture, and it's only right for them to be
Yeah,
able to
and this is
participate and have
something
an
that I wanted to touch
opportunity
on
to
is while
continue their legacy.
legalization may be more challenging, the president has the power now to clemency. And when we're really talking about getting those, as we spoke with Corvan Cooper and 40 Tons previously, about really getting those 40,000 prisoners home that's locked up in the federal prisons. And that's what a petition right now, with a stroke of the pen, he could do that. And that's something that we may need to think about as putting the pressure. While legalization may be a big step and they're not looking to do that, clemency is something I think anybody that's even slightly related or involved in this industry, that needs to be word number one coming out of their mouth. We need the people home.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree. I've met both Anthony and Corvain with 40 tons, and I know Corvain's story, and he and Anthony both, and just their team that's around that have been fighting extra hard ever since Corvain has come home. From the moment you know, he touched down in California, he already explained that that was at the forefront of his mind. He already had a list of names of people that he knew were also serving a life sentence, or that were serving a lot of time behind the plant, which, like I said, it does not make sense for so much money to be made from this industry and people are still in prison. What is the purpose of decriminalization if people are still going to be in jail? So I think that definitely needs to be addressed, and that he does have the power to
Exactly.
do that. However, whatever we need to do on our end to push that issue and get those
Yeah.
signatures, because petitions do work. That's something I do want people to understand. They do still work. So even if it may seem like
Right.
that it's something, oh, that's, old school, or that's grassroots, that's what we are. That's how things start to change, because when you have the numbers of people that are coming together, that's
And
power. Imagine having a million
and
signatures to
speaking on
say,
that,
do
Weldon
this.
Angelos has a
That's
petition
going to
going
send a
right now.
powerful
He's
message.
pushing behind that, and he's getting a lot of celebrities push. Drake, different celebrities. Snoop is involved, I believe. So they're getting a lot of these celebrities and these names. And if we can get some kind of concerted effort going again with the community, I think that's something everybody can get behind. That's a simple step. And like you said, petitions do work. I think Redman might have dropped off a second. But yeah, because I had a question about Redman, because I really wanted to touch on sort of, we were still speaking about that political space. I'll come back to on that if he can pop back on. But that being said, Sephida, tell us a little bit about your tech background and talk a little bit more about that QR codes and sort of that technology and the importance of making sure this product is safe for patients.
Yes, absolutely. So, our technology is called Birthmark Technologies. It pretty much Cannamark USA came together with Intelli Network to build on what we currently had, using the QR codes to incorporate blockchain technology, and to also incorporate aspects of privacy for, as far as pseudonymity for those users who would be using the application. Blockchain technology is the hot topic. Everyone's talking about it, and it definitely helps when it comes to the safety and privacy issue. We believe that people should have the power to choose how their data is shared and used. So we're putting the power back into the hands of the people to be able to determine how their information is going to be shared, or if they even would like to opt in or out of sharing their information on this network. And so using the dynamic QR codes, it allows for us to be able to place them on product, to where whatever the life cycle of that product is, from the time that the seed was placed in the ground all the way to where that product ends up. So whether it's flour, or it's an oil or tincture, or it's an infused product, that QR code would go onto the packaging, giving you all that information of where it was grown, where it was processed or manufactured, how much THC, how much CBD, what the terpene profile is. All of that information is in that QR code. So you can have as much or as little built into that QR code, giving you all the information that you need about that product. So in the event, for example, if someone takes, let's just say, an infused candy or a product of that nature, and they take it and they find they have some type of adverse reaction, or uh, they get sick from it because of somewhere down the line there was some contamination, then there'd be an alert to where whoever would need to know immediately what's going on with that product, they'd get that alert and know to pull that product off of shelves. Now that manufacturer, whoever produced that product, would also be able to rectify that situation before it becomes a bigger
Right.
issue. So that not only protects the consumer, it also protects the business, because imagine a smaller business that doesn't have the bandwidth to really be able to deal with something like that can hurt their business. So being able to clear that situation immediately allows them to continue with their business and allows the consumer to be safe. Then you think about dispensaries and other retail locations where people go into a dispensary, and a lot of people have the same complaint, like, I don't know where to start, I don't understand what I'm getting or what I'm going to be purchasing. So imagine being able to scan that QR code, whoever that worker is inside of that dispensary, and says, well, now I can stand right here with this customer, scan this QR code, and all of the information comes up in real time, to where I can have a consultative approach and a conversation about what this person needs, what their condition is. Oh, well, these particular strains help with this condition and those side effects. So our technology allows you to be able to do something like that in the space of a dispensary, or even just a consumer wanting to know where their product came from. Even the COA can be attached to that QR code that says, okay, this product doesn't have any contaminants. These are the latest results for this product. So it makes that customer more comfortable and allows them to make an educated decision on what they're purchasing, aside from, okay, how much THC does it have? There's so many other important factors of the product that they need to know about and understand. And even with people taking different medications, knowing what they can utilize, what they can't, that plays a factor in it as well. So imagine just being able to have that information at your fingertips, and then at the same time being able to take that same QR code and incorporate technology to where you can track and trace it regardless of where it is, in the event that product is missing, or someone has a situation to where someone has taken product from their dispensary, or it's not delivered where it's supposed to go. Being able to track where it is at all times and alert the proper authorities or whomever to be able to locate that and return that product back to that business owner. So there's so many different aspects of the tech that we utilize to protect the consumer as well as the business, especially when it comes to supply chain and logistics. So we just spent all those years, as I said earlier, when we first started, adding these things on to create more value and to be able to make sure that people are getting that educational piece, even if it comes to just scanning that QR code and giving that to them. So we can put so much information in there, even, different videos, like content. There's so many things that we can program into that QR code, and using blockchain, it maintains that privacy for the consumer to where they can decide to, okay, I don't want my name to be attached to my purchases, or I don't want my information to be shared. I don't want it to be advertised and marketed. And if so, I can decide that if you want me to share this information, I can be compensated for that. So we have rewards programs and different models that could be set up to accommodate that consumer and that business.
Absolutely.
So that they can
I love that
decide
entire
on which
process. We see that
direction
in
they'd
some of
like
the
to go.
dispensaries in Florida already, especially with the bigger ones like True Leaf. But with some of my smaller ones, we don't get the opportunity for them to be able to do that. So I love that it's a universal access for all patients to demand knowing what exactly is in their product and have the autonomy to make the decision regarding their healthcare and what they want to share publicly. That's dope. Free the culture, National Cannabis Party. Tell me some last minute things that you'd like to put out there to make sure people can get involved, to make sure the awareness is out there. Start for us, Redman. Tell us about National Cannabis Party and what last minute things you would like to share.
As far as the National Cannabis Party, we're on a mission. Like I said, we want to put the power back to the people, and we want everyone to just get involved. It's about, the only way you're going to understand anything is if you get involved and get aware of it, of what we're doing, and being aware about this cannabis plant. We just want to get as many people to understand our mission as possible. And we also want them to join in to help spread the word at the end of the day, because, the power is in the people, and the more people, the more power. We want to be able to, help implement laws and help implement change in this cannabis industry. Because like Sis said, it's a money-driven industry as well. and you have a lot of the big tyrants that comes in and that don't care about the people at all. They don't care about uh, the struggle that a lot of people went through for this plant. Small businesses, small growers, small dispensaries. Um, we want to encourage everyone to research, research what we're doing. Um, me and Sis and the whole team, we just run on facts. You know, there's no question that should be taboo that you can't ask us and we can't have
Right.
an answer for. So we just want the whole industry to get involved. What we want also is to build like a family with it, far as everyone being under one umbrella. Do your own thing. You can have your own company, but if being part of the National Cannabis Party, like, it's such a great fabric to be under to help push power. Of course, you will have some people that's like, well, I don't need the Cannabis Party. I'm doing great on my own. But it's not about just doing great on your own. It's about having your own and being part of something
Yeah.
that can help create more power to the people
Right.
for this plant. So we just want to bring awareness. I'm here for the fight, as I've been since '91. I'm glad we're at this level that the whole world is understanding now. Shout out to Montel Williams for that's my uncle. He's been such a great advocate, and even I learned a lot from him from
Yes.
putting his career on the line for this
Right.
plant way in the '90s with his show. So when I look at that, and I see other people that's joining in, that's ready to put their life on the line for this plant, that means we're making progress. So at the end of the day, we want everyone to just be aware of what we're doing. And if you don't want to join, please research what we're doing. And maybe you will want to join later if you want to be a part of the process of helping people, helping this plant, and changing the world. And feel free to join in at any time. Sister told you the website. Please feel free. And knowing that you're going to be a part of a team that I'm on, with Sis on, that people that really care about this plant, should be the greatest feeling in
And
the world.
Redman, I had a question for you earlier that I wanted to touch on to kind of piggyback on that. Is obviously
Absolutely.
you're Newark, New Jersey through and through. Your senator, Cory
Yes, sir.
Booker, is obviously a leader in this space,
Yes.
in the political space. Now you guys are the political space. Can you talk about, is there a relationship there? Are y'all in communication? Where can we see sort of some collaboration there?
Well, I actually have a radio show with LL Cool J once a month. I'm taking a month break. Yeah, I actually have a radio station. I know a radio program on LL platform, on his Rock the Bells platform. It's called a Muddy Waters Rock the Bell Show, and I only interview people who I like. LL gave me a lot of leeway to do what I want, and I interviewed Cory Booker. That's the homie, and we talked about him being on the front line as far as this marijuana plant, and he's ready. Like, he's ready. He's in gear. He's been talking about it. He's been putting the word out. He's definitely aware of what needs to be done, far as this plant and far as the industry of it. So he's on deck, and getting in touch with him and talking about it more would not be a problem. And I actually can't wait till we actually get to sit down and talk with him about NCP and see what he would like to offer his services over to him, and vice versa. So Cory Booker is in place already, brother.
All right.
Big facts.
All right.
Big facts.
And I'd like to get your thoughts on, obviously, New Jersey through and through. Now New Jersey going rec, and sort of how you see that's going to roll out, and what's your thoughts there?
Well, New Jersey is rec, but they haven't implemented the law for us to grow. It's like they gave us a little dirt and not the full shovel. So it's like we want to be able to grow as well. But recreational and decriminalization is a start, and hopefully we could get it to a sense where, here's my thing: having a grow license is great as well, but the law on getting a license, like the the inquiries of getting a license, like paying 250 grand just for a
Wow.
chance, a 1 out of 10 chance, is horrible to me.
Right.
And that has to change. Um, my biggest thing, and what NCP is going to what we're trying to do as well, is making sure that this money for the plant that's going to be generating go to these cities that's in need, far as
Yeah.
the money and the equity and the education. That's what we're about. But the law and getting a license in New Jersey right now is, I think, is, you're damn near spending everything that you've made to have a 1 out of 10 chance of getting a license. And I think that's crazy to me. So hopefully we can implement a better law, implement better chances on getting a license. But the criminalization, recreational, is a start.
Right.
And I'll accept that for now. But we have to do better.
Right.
We have to do better.
Right. Right. Talk a little bit about what's next on the music front. We saw you on Versus, you and your brother Method Man. Talk about that experience and what you got next on the music front.
Okay, the verses was, we made history with verses. That's why verses are the way they are now.
That's what's up.
We took it from it being the boring sit down, do one song, sit down, one song. We made it into a better programming, a better fabric. We changed the game on it. Now the verses is real
right.
exciting now, and I can't wait to Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One go at it, because those are two of my favorite artists. Those are the next one.
Who you
Those are the
got,
next
Redman?
ones.
Know who you
Dope.
got?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
Yes.
Don't
Both of them
ask.
but
That's unfair, Juma.
but no, but you know what?
Yeah, that's a
KRS-One
hard
is my
question.
mentor. I he is why I do it. He is
It
one of the
is.
ingredients to Redman. So I'm gonna have to definitely go with KRS-One, because he is known to shut any
The
building down.
teacher.
There's a there, there's a
The
say it
teacher.
again. Yeah, he's the teacher. There's a rumor in hip hop. Like, there's literally a rumor in hip hop that's been implemented since the 90s and at the end of the 80s. You do not go on after KRS-One. That's a rule. There's only a few artists in the hip hop world that has that tag, and KRS-One was one of the first. You do not go on after KRS-One. I don't give a damn who you have on the stage. You do not go on after KRS-One. Far as what I'm doing next for music, I'm dropping Muddy Waters 2, the tip of next year. Me and Meth gonna work on the Blackout 3. There's a discussion, maybe a How High 3 with us in it, if the
Okay.
business is right. I just did a Christmas movie with
Wow.
MC Light, Kerry Hilson, Terrence J, and Soraya. And yeah, it's really, really cool. It's under Jamie Foxx production, and it should be out this Christmas. But my goal is to be behind the camera more. I want to direct. That's my goal. I want to just be behind the camera in the whole industry. And NCP all day,
Love
baby.
it. I love it. Sephida, any last thoughts?
Well, definitely, I want everyone to feel free and welcome to join
Or
NCP. As she said, the website www.nationalcannabisparty.org. Connect with us. We have a state committee. That's what I forgot to mention. We have the National Cannabis Party of Georgia, which is headed by our national director, Chris Brown. And you'll see him on social media, and you'll, if you type in the hashtag for the number 4 NCP, you'll see a lot of us that are on there, and that's the easiest way to find just some of the different colleagues we have that are out there really pushing this movement. But now that we have this state committee, we are pushing heavily for Georgia, because everybody knows that the voter suppression is happening in Georgia, and there's a lot of movement that is happening behind the scenes, and they definitely need our help. And that's what I want everyone to collectively come together. don't just join NCP just for the national part of what we do. Also look at the states that need our help. We need to rally together and help each other as brothers and sisters in this industry. We need to go and extend our hand to states that need our help and the people that are crying out saying, hey, we want legalization, but they're not passing it. One of those states being Mississippi. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it cannot be done with just a handful of people. We need everyone's involvement, and we are welcoming everyone to come in, help out, volunteer, wherever you feel you fit, and however you want to be involved. We want you here. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows that, and that you can tap in with me on social media or Redman or any one of us if you want to get more involved, or even if you want us to uh, participate in any events coming up. Definitely tap in with us, because we're definitely open to partnerships as well.
Wow, this has been a beautiful way to kick off season 4 of Leafstyle and Ask Dr. Lynn. We're super proud and blessed to have both of you sharing this information to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank
work
you.
that both of you are doing. Honestly, your stories are personal. Your passion
you.
comes through the screen. Everyone can feel the authenticity of what you're doing and why you've aligned yourself with starting this company and this brand. So we're happy to promote this message on our Access and our server and get people involved. I think that's the first step in any process, especially with motivating everybody. Thank both of you. Thank you, Sephida. Thank you, Redman. Thank you, Juma.
Thank you. And what's up with that Florida NCP?
Thank you. It's been an honor. Honestly, it has truly been an honor.
Okay. Okay.
The more the merrier. The more the merrier.
Hey, we can do it. Yes, absolutely. We'll walk whoever through the process that wants to start.
Miami.
The
What part
Florida
of Florida
committee,
you guys in?
definitely
Miami,
tap in with
okay.
us
South
and
Florida.
we can get that
Miami.
going.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Sephida. Thank you, Redman.